Okay, this would be the 84 Hurst Olds. And I'm gonna make a video about a shifter problem that I encountered just a short time ago after having gotten this car out after being put away for quite a number of years after the, I guess you'd call it restoration, repaint mostly. So this is just an overall view of the car. So with that, the aerial, of course, is in bypass, and that has the metal cord. You can just kind of look at things. Such things interest you. The graphics are quite nice the third time around, and that's kind of a long story, don't even ask. So there's the dash and so on. And the wheels are real nice with the period correct Goodyear Eagle GT tires amid a nice spoiler. Okay, a quick video on 84 Hurst Olds Cutlass. In this particular example, I had a problem. You know, there's one thing I get when I get this car out from people is a question. And oh boy, I look at them, I see it coming, not you two. Hey, if you don't mind me asking, sir, what's the deal? What's going on with that shifter? That's kind of, you don't mind, that's kind of odd, you know. And instead of, you know, the old brush off, I just say, hey, you know, Google it or look at it on YouTube. It's too busy for me to explain. Well, turns out one day the matter was kind of rendered academic. My shifter failed and it turned into rock hard iron in drive. In other words, I couldn't move it. This would be what I'd call would be the primary shift tower here. And, you know, I mean, if I shut it off, I'd never be able to start it. And I never engage this or get into any of this lightning rod stuff or whatever, because I don't hot rod my car or hot dog it or whatever. Anyway, and I was forced to take action. So I popped the console top out, and found, interestingly enough, some pieces that fell out. And these are what the pieces are. They act as a kind of a guide, as a retainer pallet for the sprung part of the detent on the shifter. This would be called the detent, or the button here. And there's a spring at the bottom here, amid the pins, that allow this thing or disallow it to cam into a sector or a rack at the shifter's base. Anyway, these retainer pins that act as a guide, and they're split pins. Two of them, one in the primary shaft and the other one in the I'd call the secondary or the middle shaft, fell apart and failed. Okay, this will make more sense. See the example on the left? That's the one that remained. So you'll take a tiny draft punch and pop those out, and then the spring and the tower will fall out, and then this pin will come out after you take out an Allen set screw. And again, this sector down in the bottom is machined. So there's a relationship amid a specific time when you can engage or not disengage or disallow a particular feature at a particular point in a sequence, and I'll show you that. So anyway, back to this. You'll note that the outside OD is the same, and by the way, what I did is I look in a McMaster catalog after having mic'd the thing, this one, and for 27 cents ordered 3 of these things. And I thought, you know, I don't want to split it, I don't want to cut it. This just fits great around the brow of that tower, but the inside ID won't accommodate the pin that goes down and again jams that sector or that rack in the shifter base. What'd you do? What do you do? How about that? Just put a rat tail file on the drill, took the bushing, piloted it on, held it with a vice grip, and opened it up, I don't know, somewhere into here to get that middle ID, to get it to work. Want to see more about that? Look in the various tutorials. Probably Google the topic, and that's where I got my information. They're just a wonderful thing to read about. So look, I mean, this is where you'd stake the cable, the shift cable, and there'd be a retainer pin here, and then there's a bushing and no adjustment here. You do that down on the transaxle, but here's the shift pin for the shift cable. So were this to be, let's dumb it down, a Regal example with a 1, 2, 3 overdrive, neutral, reverse, park, we call that a Prindle. Park, reverse, neutral, Prindle. Think about it. You can have or accomplish the same thing. So busy would be a good word here. Well, what's going on with this? Well, here's what's going on, and I'll try to explain it. Everybody's tried over the years, right? But maybe seeing won't be believing. You'll see that I can't move either of these. This is just how my primary shifter was. I couldn't move it at all. But when I'm done here at the end, this, instead of at the 10 o'clock position, is going to be about almost to the 2 o'clock. It'll have arrived down at the L1. So now let's look at it and examine what happens. There's park, reverse, neutral. Oops, went past it, didn't I? Neutral, drive. Now you're going to get down into 3. And when you're down into 3, that will allow you to go down into 2. And then finally to 1. Now we're at that 2 o'clock. Back up to 1. Or to 2 rather, I'm sorry. I was in 1. To 3. To overdrive, to neutral, reverse, to park. And when you're in park, you can't move these at all. And when you push these, you're jamming that rod on the end of that stock down in that sector, but the machining is not aligned because this part of the sector must be engaged. Reverse, neutral, drive. 3, 2, 1. So Pedro Lapacas would say, wouldn't he? Hey, first gear, here we go. Hey, second gear. Hey, third gear, here we go. Right here would be fine, man. There's 3, and then here would be overdrive. And then you go winch to neutral, and then reverse, and back into park. Reverse, neutral, drive. 3, 2, 1. Out of the hole, squawk the wheel if you're lucky. It's just a little 307. Would be 2, 3, overdrive. Neutral, reverse, park. Easy to do. Read the tutorial. You needn't touch this bolt. It's just a retainer for the arm. There's a clip, a simple little E-clip on the other side. Simply take them out. There's a thrust bearing, acts as a kind of a pilot washer. And by the way, there are 2 pilot bearings on the ends that also act as a sleeve. And then the 2 thrust washers, and they're kind of a guide pilot washer combination. Will be in between the shifter stocks. And everything will come apart. Isn't that pretty? It says Hurst on it, And then, I know, you're scratching your head. Didn't make any sense? Beautiful, my worker's done. Didn't make any sense to me. And back to the guy at the gas station. Well, I still don't understand. Oh, that's all right. They don't either. They didn't either. So, Buick was spanking everybody with their Grand National. And, I was in the dealership setting, and back when the A-bodies came out in 78, in our example, in the Regals, and they were A-bodies, weren't they? Buick Regals, Buick Century State Wagons. And in 81, they evolved into the G-bodies that we all know and love. So, look at these guys are killing us. And I can remember back at the time, everybody saying, oh, no, you don't. A carbureted 3.8 with oil pump problems and Mellings oil pumps and turbos out at 30,000 miles. What's this junk now? You got a badge on the hood that says 3.8 SFI, But didn't the world turn? Oh my God, you went from unthinkable to unsinkable. Amazing, amazing. Wasn't well received in the beginning, but later, even to this day, it's still the preferred car. It's the muscle car. And then that was Buick's example. Chevrolet had their example. They had their sporty Monte Carlo. They didn't even have a boost gauge when they turboed their cars. Anyway, kind of bland. So Old said, well, what do we do? You know, all we got's a little, you know, it's the energy crisis still. We can't put a rocket motor in there. We'll put a 307 power plant in. And someone said, well, let's, you know, put a high lift cam in. Well, twice nothing, still nothing. Here we go with opinion. But, you know, I mean, when you were doing that and you use this thing, you know, when you're nothing left but sipping on crumbs and there isn't anything left to do, well, someone said, let's put a Hurst shifter in it. Well, why? Well, it's a Hurst. It's a Hurst. That's why. Well, I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. Anyway, that's what happened. Enter the word busy. It's a good word. But why would you? I know, never mind. Didn't make much sense to me either. So again, these can't be detented. These can't be engaged until this guy here, reverse, neutral, drive, 3, is in 3 or all the way down. So now the car's in L2. Now the car is in L1 on the Regal we'll think about. And then 2, and then 3, and then overdrive, and then neutral, and then reverse, and then park. Busy, good word. So you can do it. It's just a little bit of a bother the first time. There's nothing really to line up. The rest is all common sense. You just unthread these, thread them back on, and the balls turn off and thread on. They're rather rigid. They're rather well made. There's no problem there. It is a cool bit of engineering, but it's, you know, well, it's all one and the same, one and done, you know. But instead of one and done, it's 3 and done. And again, never mind, it didn't make much sense to me either. But that's what's going on, and there are the innards of what the going-ons are. So I just tamped this down to on the bench here with these tools. A rather fun little thing to do. Takes about an hour, and you too can get your shifters back up and going, and have some fun with your car. And know that, you know, until you have them in a specific time slot, that you can't move these guys here until that slot is met. So the only time that these will move is when this guy's down in that detented or last position. Now I'll move these. You can't. No, you can with glass. That's what a lightning rod shifter feature is. Whew. Busy, good word. That's the 3rd time I said that. So if you have that problem, watch out for these guides. Unbusy it and go with this. Don't know what the part number is. If I get a stickler, leave me a comment and I'll try to find the paperwork and get that number to you. So again, Lightning Rod 101 for dummies. All right, there it is. Don't forget to like and comment. Doesn't make much sense, as I said, to me either, but that's what's going on. And I'm Tommy Z. Take good care.